Welcome everyone to the Undercover Brony Reviews. The episode reviewed today will be Dragon Dropped, written by Josh Haber.
I gotta say, we haven't said this in a while, and I feel like it's something that needs to be brought back for this episode.
No.
Shipping.
Oh.
Shipping.
I thought you were gonna pull a swerve on me. Before the cameras went on, John was telling me about how much he liked the episode and stuff. And so when he said that right now, I was just like, wait, is he gonna -5 stars right now? But no, he did not. Yeah. So this was Spike at your green is not your boutique is not art of a dress making diamond dog hunting.
So you want to talk about this episode as everything but the kitchen sink?
This episode is everything except the kitchen sink. This felt like, okay, do you remember like 2 seasons ago when I mentioned that the episode where Fluttershy got her little animal center, that it felt like in a lot of ways it was like the conclusion of her arc, in a sense that, like, if you look at episodes like like Dragon Shy, then to the putting your hoof down, then to when the episode where Discord comes back, and like 2 or 3 others here and there, those are clear. If you watch them in order, you could see like the clear progression, and at that point, like, you know what, okay, this episode felt like that, but not for Rarity, not for Spike. It was for Rarity and Spike.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, did you like that montage near the end?
Which one? The one where
the one where Rarity's reminiscing.
That was kind of midway through, and then they had another one at the end. But yes, I did like that a lot. So let's get into this, and I'll kind of explain why this episode, especially for someone like me, who is one, I feel like I am a huge Sparity fanboy. I'll say this: I like Rare Jack as much as the next guy. I like Rare Jack just as much as you do. But Sparity has always had a special place in my heart, and it was my OG ship. So I have a real big personal connection with Sparity, and my God, this episode delivered. So it starts off with Rarity trying to talk to Spike about going to the Crystal Caves again and getting some diamonds.
Because she had a last-minute inspiration burst for what did she want? It was like a coat. I don't remember.
Something. At least it wasn't the inspiration manifestation where she went all green-eyed weirdo on us.
Jeez,
but
don't remind me.
That was actually a pretty good episode, though.
It wasn't bad.
In a crazy sort of way. But Spike is just writing there with this blanket, like hoodie blanket thing over him. And he's just writing. And I love how they make a Lego Movie reference here, which I know Lego Movie was already referencing something when they did it, but it makes sense here. Where you remember when they get into the Old West town, and Wildfire's explaining everything about President Business and everything, and it's just like, so I think I got it, but just in case, tell me everything again. I wasn't listening. They do the same thing here, where Spike's like, okay, can you tell me that again, just in case I forgot something? And he does that like really big smile, like, please don't notice that I completely didn't hear you. And he keeps having to say that more and more, because Rarity's just has a one-track mind here, where she's just like, Crystal Caves, do you want the small basket, the big basket? What do you want? And Spike's like, oh shit, what time is it? And it's like 10 to noon. And he's like, shit, I need to go. And he heads off to the post office, Rarity being none the wiser until he's flying off.
The amount of I just all of those, like, marshmallow pony.exe whatever, just Rarity could not compute anything that happened right now, and it was like it crossed a point where, like, if it had just been like wait, what's going on, it'd be if it had been something along the lines of like what am I looking for, like if it was a case where she was like, what, it had like some funny outburst or whatever, then it would have been, it wouldn't have been enough. This was like, she's like speechless almost. She's like stuttering, tripping over her words.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, wow. She really can't understand that Spike is like, rain check, brah. She's like, wait a minute. How does Pony postpone things, with Spike, Because it's such, the idea is, it's such a given that her and Spike just do stuff together. And this works really well because we've seen that in action and in motion for 10 years. So that was a really good writing thing they did, playing with the audience's assumed knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And do you notice? I think this is the only time that we've not had music going into the intro. It's literally Tabitha St. Germain saying some lines and then just birds chirping and then My Little Pony. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That's never happened before.
Yeah, normally
So,
it's normally they start off by like well, I guess they did set up the conflict, but yeah, no, it's never like started like you said, it's never started like this.
mm. So
So from here, hold on, I've got the whatchamacallit. I was waiting, trying to get it to load. I've got the plot points here. All right, so
yeah.
oh, TV tropes didn't write it out. Okay, never mind. You go.
Okay, so she goes to Twilight with her mane all frazzled, and Twilight's like organizing books, and Rarity comes in, and it's like, and Twilight's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "Well, if you want to ask what's going on with my mane, I can tell you it's because of Spike."
Yeah.
And she grabs a couch, which it's not her fainting couch for some reason, but she's not being that over dramatic, I guess.
I think it's just Twilight's couch.
Yeah. So she's just like, I wanted to bring Spike along to this, but he didn't want to go because he said he had to be at the post office. Why is he at the post office so much? And Twilight's like, yeah, that isn't like Spike. Did you maybe have an argument with him, or did you unintentionally hurt his feelings or something? And Rarity gets it in her head that she unintentionally hurt Spike in some way. So,
which I already saw the Brony analyst trying to be like, oh, look, internalized guilt, and it's just like, no. I feel like whenever someone thinks that something's wrong with someone, the first thing that folks think of is, well, did I do something mad? Like, say someone's being quiet to you or giving you the cold shoulder. Your first thought is, well, did I make them mad somehow? I mean, even if you don't think you did, that's where you go. So I thought that actually made sense, that that's where her mind would go when the notion was brought up.
mm-hmm. And so she goes to the post office to try and apologize. And Gabby comes in here, and they introduce themselves. And this scene had me laughing my ass off with how hysterical this exchange of dialogue is. She climbs into the box that she brought into the post office with like Power Ponies comics and gems and all this stuff that Spike would like. And she's just like, can you just see if this sounds good? If this apology sounds good. She climbs into the box. She brings out a what do they call it? The
Record player.
Yeah, the record player phone thing.
The Vitronic. No, the Victrola. The phonic. Cooked on phonics. I don't know. I don't know the needle record surround sound Bluetooth thing, whatever they used in the 1860s or whatever.
Yeah, it's a phonograph, if I'm remembering this correctly. So,
are you telling me to look at this photograph?
Look at this graph. I laughed so hard the first time that happened. But Rarity brings out the phonograph and and she's holding it up like on her knees, reminding me of Blue Harvest when the whatever his name is on Family Guy that he's playing Obi-Wan and he gets on his knees and he's about to do the I've had the time of my life. It just reminded me of that with the animation and everything. But Rarity is just like, Spike, I don't know what I did, but whatever it is, I swear I'll make it up to you. Just please, I beg of your forgiveness. And then Spike comes in, and she's just like, oh, well, I was just rehearsing for my apology. Spike! Oh, what? She gets back in, and the spotlight comes on again, and she's trying to do it again. I'm sorry, it was just too funny.
See, I laughed. I don't know. I feel like the joke kind of went on too long in some ways. And, like, the idea is, you know, let's have Tabitha St. Germain scream for 2 minutes. And it's funny. But, you know, Tabitha St. Germain scream. If I want to watch people scream for 2 minutes, I'd watch our sponsor, Invader Zim Enter the Florpus, now on Netflix. If you enter the promo code, no, I'm kidding. No, but seriously, like, I don't know. There was something, maybe I was in a weird mood. I mean, maybe I wasn't in the right place. I mean, sure, I'm tired, getting over a cold. My throat's kind of shot because I recorded vocals last night, and I haven't nearly jacked off as much as I wanted to today. My point is, there was something missing here. This episode, it was at this point that something felt wrong to me. Because, like, it's going through the beats of a Spike and Rarity episode, and it's trying to, like, Frozen it, where they're like, okay, let's take this established thing and try to, like, turn it on its head. But, you know, like, where Frozen does a decon recon thing, this episode is kind of just like, okay, here's a Spike. It starts as a Spike and Rarity thing, and it ends as a Spike and Rarity thing. The beginning and end is still the same, but we jumbled up the middle, and we have Tabitha screaming a lot. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know. I feel like one of those douchey YouTube reactors whenever someone sees a joke in the trailer for a DC movie. They're like, "Oh, look, jokes." But that was my reaction. I was just like, "Oh, look, Rarity screaming, jokes." It's literally 7 minutes of this episode is Rarity trying to talk to Spike, and Spike just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, what?" Now I need to give credit where it's due, because as a goddamn fair man, I loved every second that Gabby the Griffin was on screen. Oh my God, why didn't they bring her back sooner?
Yeah.
But her relationship with Spike is great. It's plausible and believable.
And it's adorable.
Yes. This is a Spike episode, but unlike how Spike episodes used to be for the first half decade of the show, Spike isn't turned into a complete tool. I was under the impression that, honestly, Rarity is kind of playing around with his emotions, but doesn't realize it, because after the because after the scene where Rarity apologizes to Spike, he's literally like, "No, we cool, dog," and she's like, "Oh, then why don't you want to hang out now?"
Senpai, why won't you notice me again?
I don't mean to poke holes in a 10-year-old show, because Lord knows that Westworld couldn't even pay attention to its plot points, and they're only 2 seasons in. But, like, Rarity having a hard time accepting that someone can't have time for her is something she's dealt with, like, several times now. The most recent example I could think of is probably that spa episode with her and Applejack. So, like, and I know that the idea is, oh, well, this is Spike, and they're special. And it's like, they are, but at the same exact time,
it still doesn't justify her learning the same lesson.
Anytime there's a kind of plot like this, yeah, the Aesop's always the same throughout all the same episodes. Man, I hate my internet. Where it's like, you don't have enough time for me, but I do all this stuff. Oh, well, can't you do all that stuff and hang out with me? No, because then I'm tired. Oh, well, should I expect less of you, but should you also try to do less so that you're not overstressing yourself? That's exactly what I should do. That's happened like 20 times. And I think that Rarity and Spike are good enough friends that the idea, because Spike's never done this to Rarity in any episode, where it's like, oh, Rarity can't hang out with him, so, you know, oh, I'm gonna not freak out. That's not right, but you know what I mean? And then it didn't, that layer had never been there in their relationship prior with either of them. And then all of a sudden, Rarity, who's been in this friendship game for a while, is like, wait a minute, what do you mean my little platonic boy toy doesn't have time for me? It's like, and she's been to the cave, she's gone to the caves by herself before. I don't know. That's just one of those are just a couple of my issues, because then after he's like, oh, sorry, I was busy. She's like, well, what were you doing to hop, skip, and jump a few plot points? Then it becomes, oh, I've been hanging out with Gabby. We're like super duper bros. And Rarity, Rarity is like,
super jelly.
I was trying to say that I was almost gonna go with cannot compute. But I don't know, and something about it just rubbed me the wrong way. I guess it just kind of comes to the fact I don't feel like Rarity deserves to be jealous. Just after all the crap she put Spike through, mostly for the first mostly season 1, maybe season 2, but realistically they've been cool throughout the whole show. And if you want to really look at it, most of their ship tease was season 1 and 2, but like, I don't know. To me, it just didn't hold as much weight. You know, it would have been worse if Spike felt this way, because then I would have just been like, oh, great, another episode where they turned Spike into an idiot, which they hadn't done for a long time. So there was just some things. It just wasn't, there's just a lose-lose with me on this, because then Rarity totes tries to, like, she literally undermines his friendship with Gabby, and like hella sabotages it, like steals him from her, and it was just rubbing me the wrong way. And the episode glosses over the fact of just, you know, how Rarity hasn't exactly been full part in the Spike in the past, if you know what I'm saying, you know, in terms of fairness. And I don't know, you get what I mean? Like, the episode still isn't bad. There's still a lot of good that I like in it, but there's just a couple of glaring things that I just can't get over. And you know me, I always got Spike's back.
You got like a serious downer about this episode.
I understand.
Jeez, dude.
Look, bro, I understand what the episode was trying to do, and it mostly did it, but there were just some plot things that I just took issue with, is all.
Yeah.
There was some good gags. There was some heartwarming stuff, and I liked the montages. I liked Gabby, but it just didn't like click.
One other thing that I love is that she's trying to replace Spike with her friends doing different things. So she actually goes to the caves and she brings Applejack along.
Okay, this was funny because she's literally like, can't you hold the basket like Spike? And I half expected Applejack to say, Rarity, Spike has thumbs.
It's like, for the last time, I ain't Spike.
And then the bats eat them, metaphorically.
Yeah, but oh my God. Poor Applejack for that. Because there's also another little bit of animation, which I gotta say, the facial expressions were total meme faces the whole time. So DWK will have a field day with this one.
Yeah, he'll probably like this episode.
But Applejack has this thing over her hat that's tied on her hat, and she has the light in front. And Rarity keeps moving the light, and to kind of get a little bit dark, Applejack almost gets her fur singed from this lamp, from it breaking.
I know Applejack was in this episode for all of 2 minutes, and all she did was have a bad time.
Uh-huh.
It was kind of feels bad for Applejack.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the montages.
These were good. These were good. Very good, actually.
Do you want to elaborate a little bit?
What?
Would you like to explain the montages to the audience?
I didn't watch the episode.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I may have them a bit out of order, but so the first one, this is when Rarity, she's kind of like following I think this is the one. She's kind of like following Gabby and Spike around, and she's like remembering a whole bunch of times with Spike, and we're talking like deep cuts from like 7, 6, 5 seasons ago. Pretty much every iconic moment that the two ever had. Them at the spa, them with the Diamond Dogs, that part where they they fell from the sky in season 2 after Spike became huge and trashed the army, set to some nice music and stuff. And I was just like, this is poignant because these two are a core friendship, are a core relationship of this cast, but also because it's just like, wow, it's not even the season finale yet, and you're already throwing sad montages at us. Thanks, DHX. But yeah, no, these helped Rarity's character. These helped Rarity's character in this episode because by using the montages and the ways they did it, they were able to actually convey to you that Rarity, the idea that Rarity is for the first time really realizing just how much Spike and his presence, means to her and stuff. So on that level, it works great. You want to do the other one?
Now, I don't know what you're talking about with that kind of flashback. I don't remember doing a jump cut of that. I'm remembering where she's seen they go to the gem shop and Spike is licking different gems to find out which one is tastiest. And so there's one that he licks that's like, oh yeah, that's good. That's real good. Get this one. Or she's what was one of the other ones? Where she buys some fashion, some stuff for her boutique, and Spike's carrying it around, almost falls, and Rarity helps him pick everything back up, and all that kind of stuff.
Fuck, was I high or something?
I don't know. I don't know, dude.
Hold on, keep talking. I'm gonna rewatch that scene real quick.
Okay. Now the other one, basically, it was along the lines of how when after Gabby got, successfully turned on Spike, she's seen all these different things of Gabby and I believe it's something along the lines of Gabby and Spike doing stuff together. And
You know what it was? After the episode, I got linked. Because my stupid autoplay was on, I got auto linked to a sparity PMV.
Well, that makes sense.
I can't discern the reality. Send help.
But
this is why you don't go to bed at least 3 in the morning after you've been binging coffee for like the first 7 hours of your day.
Damn, dude. So basically, Rarity tries to sabotage the relationship between Gabby and
But the flashbacks were still nice, though. They were still poignant and heartwarming. I got that part right.
Yes, you were right on that. Now, I gotta say,
what have you done for the last 4 years of your life? Oh, I review Friendship is Magic. Really? This feels like your first day.
Yeah. Anyway, I gotta say, with this love triangle, still a better story than Twilight.
I'm really trying to think.
In a while.
I'm really trying to think if we will ever I'm really trying to think if we will ever have a movie with a romance as bad as Twilight that we will say, oh, I don't know. I heard the Hobbit trilogy had a pretty bad love triangle.
Yeah, and they didn't need to bring it to 3 fucking movies. By the way,
they could have adapted. They could have adapted the Silmarillions. They could have adapted other Tolkien's books and try to create a Tolkien cinematic universe or some crap. But no, let's make The Hobbit, which is the smallest book, into 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Jackson just needs that money for big movies that he's never gonna make.
Now, there was actually a picture that I saw of Flutterbat that was her in front of the moon or whatever, making that Batman reference. With the Batwing. It said, when it comes to vampires, even My Little Pony is a better story than Twilight. Or even My Little Pony does it better than Twilight.
There's a lot of things do better than Twilight, okay?
Which, by the way, do you think it would be amazing to go on to do a Nerdcast episode on how bad the Twilight series is?
Bro, I will go in. I will watch the movies.
Right?
But you got to commit to it. I mean, I've watched this. I'll be honest. I remember I've seen at least the first one, and I'm not gonna lie. I feel like that movie isn't that bad. If I didn't know the property it was attached to and just saw it for what it was, I think to myself, okay, this is kind of a whatever standalone film. The teens will probably like it, but because it's Twilight,
Yeah. Now, anyway, she starts sabotaging.
Did you know Stephenie Meyer rewrote the first Twilight book from the point of view of Edward, but she didn't actually? She just switched their genders, and it's literally the same story.
Well, E.L. James did the same fucking thing with the 50 Shades of Grey books.
I hate authors.
Yes. Getting back to ponies, though.
Do we really need to re-release It and The Stand 4 more times, Stephen King? I work in a bookstore, you jerk.
So, she successfully sabotages their relationship because she finds this, gem cave thing that they only have access to for 1 day out of the year. And Spike's like, you know what? I can just send Gabby a load. It'll be fine. And then the next day, she gets passes to a Power Ponies convention. They come back. He has figurines and prints and all the generic stuff you'd find at a convention. But goddamn, Rarity dresses herself as the maniac.
I was gonna say I really liked the Manhattan cosplay or wig, whatever. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was funny. And then they're like, I'm not, I may have to do a day of rest for this. I'm like, yeah, that's everyone who's ever gone to a convention ever. I swear to God.
Yeah, especially if they're multi-day. I mean, when you're at the convention, it's fine. But man, when you gotta like walk to it, stand in all the lines, walk back to the hotel, then you gotta go to sleep, wake up. It's time. God, listen to me. First world problems. Going to conventions are hard. Okay, so yeah, Rarity sabotages Gabby, and everybody involved feels really bad for like 4 minutes of screen time. It's actually kind of neat. Just how much, yeah.
Now, here's what I like. The way that it's sabotaged is fucking amazing. It is so believable because you can see this shit happen. Instead of something like, let's say, Shrek, where, oh, Shrek overheard something, so he gets the wrong idea. No. Gabby comes in and catches Spike and Rarity playing ogres and oubliettes. And she's like, in your letter, I thought you said you were too tired to do anything. But I guess it was you were too tired to do anything with me.
We're drawing comparisons to Shrek now. That's a new low for us, I think.
Well, they already did that thing in Ponies the Anthology 7.
I still haven't seen that yet. Was it good? There's no way it's not the last one. Finally, so was it good?
Dude, I actually have a compilation of my favorite scenes that I could show you in a little bit.
Because I heard the last 2 or 3 compilations they just weren't that good after the third one.
Yeah, this one had some good moments.
That's good.
Anyway, they get sad for about 4 minutes. Spike has a droopy face that Granny Smith would be ashamed of.
No, he has a droopy face that Droopy the dog would be ashamed of.
God, it seriously looked like he was an old dude or something. Like it looked like he had wrinkles everywhere. But I love how they try and bring back the montage. This is what it was. They bring back the montage of the scenes that they did, where they're getting like fabric, and they go to the gem thing, and I love how Rarity's just holding Spike's tongue out and just sliding it across his tongue, and he's just like, no. And then he gets the one that originally he was like, oh yeah, this is amazing. He was just like, eh. And then they're at the spa, and she tries to give Spike a cucumber, and he just lets it slide off his cheek. And I'm like, damn, that's sad. Like, really sad. By the way, Rainbow Dash also got her time to shine. She was the punching bag in the dead weight of the episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say she literally got her back broken by carrying a whole bunch of stuff. It was I shouldn't say it was funny, but yeah, it was kind of funny.
It was satisfying. Now they get to the end where Rarity does the same joke she did before, where she's like, I'm not apologizing to you, Gabby. I'm literally showing you my evidence of how I murdered of the murder case, basically. And she's like, and eventually, again, it gets to the joke of, she's like, oh, I'm just trying to apologize again. Spike! And she apologizes, and she's like, I need to be okay with sharing stuff with you because that's all that this really needs to be. Because I don't want to take you away and kind of make you mine if it's going to take you away from other friendships, you know? Which, by the way, with how Tabitha St. Germain was bringing that line, did it not sound like something that you would hear in season 1 or 2, where you'd have the
Yeah. I forgot. I always forget how much they used to use that leitmotif, but yeah, it does.
where it has that leitmotif going on. And the episode ends with, well, them being able, Gabby and Spike being able to hang out again. And I love how Pinky is the last one when she's doing the gem thing. She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to wake the bats. And she's like, no, you don't use your hooves. You use your you use the basket. And then Spike comes in. It's like, guys, you need to be more quiet. Otherwise the bats are gonna wake up. And so yeah, I love how Spike is managing his time between Rarity and Gabby. That I think was a great touch. So, anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I'm distracted. Claire Corletta uploaded a video to her YouTube channel 3 hours ago called "I'm Gay."
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's a musical. It's a song that she wrote for her. She said her theater class, and well, she says she uses gay as an overhead term, as many people do. She also likes boys. Yeah, Claire Corlett just came out. So, yeah,
Okay.
breaking news. You heard it here first, maybe.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, no, the episode didn't hate it. Talking about it, it doesn't sound like it, but talking about it did make me kind of like certain things about it a little more. I know you just talked about, but I really want to ask, as a sparity bro, what'd you feel about the way the episode ended? We don't have that many episodes left, so they're probably not going to touch this again anyway. So, so just after all these years, how did the real question is, how did this episode to you feel?
Well, you know how when we were talking about the synopses in a video from a while back, and we were talking about how how I was like, you were saying you don't want my expectations to be shattered because I want them to get together or whatever. I basically explained that no, as long as it's still strongly hinted at, I'm fine. And this episode did exactly what I thought it was going to do.
Well, I
So,
hope you don't think I was saying that to be mean. I was just saying the fact that they're never. I don't want to. I mean, there is still a finale and an epilogue, so you never know. But I'm gonna throw my 2 cents into the hat here. I don't think they're gonna hook anybody up with anybody because it's just it's a kids show, you know. If relationships happen, they're either pre-established, happen off screen. Well, except for Big Mac, he got together with his gal, but yeah,
I mean,
no. So that's all I meant.
yeah, I'm fine with it. And I thought the episode did a good job of kind of like not really tying the loose ends, but making a very enjoyable episode. So why don't you give your score because I'm kind of conflicted right now.
I was gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay. You know what? No. I'm not going to let what we just talked about influence my score. I'm giving it a 10. I loved this episode. I absolutely loved it.
I know what I was doing. I was doing some praise the sun type of shit. If that's how you feel, I can't. I can't change your mind because then we wouldn't be living in America.
America, fuck yeah.
We're at least better than Russia. So we're at least better than I think that's I don't think that's even a compliment if you say at least we're better than Russia. I think saying we're better than war-torn Africa is a little better than saying we're better than Russia.
Yeah. So next week's episode is called A Horseshoe Inn. Starlight decides to hire a vice head mayor.
It's the last Twixie. No, it's the last Star Tricks. No, Star Trek.
Yeah, Glimtrix.
Yes, it's the last Glimtrix episode of the show, you guys.
It better be fucking as good as On the Road to Friendship. But it says Starlight decides to hire a vice head mayor in preparation to take over the school of friendship from Twilight. Oh boy.
Hey, I'm just glad that we're gonna get I'm glad we're gonna get one more Starlight episode before this is all said and done. So I can't complain too much. And Trixie's gonna be there, so yeah, I was kind of hoping that the villains and or Twilight or maybe the main six as a whole would kind of get another spotlight episode, but it doesn't seem like they're gonna do that. But I guess it's fine because after this episode, after that episode, we're on the home stretch, boys. So
yeah,
because
the hype train is about to come into the station.
Because the finale is technically 3 pieces, even if they are calling the last episode an epilogue. So I was really hoping for 4. I was really hoping somehow, some way they would be able to make the finale 4 episodes, but oh well.
I guarantee you this though, if they show anything of the main 6 as in their elder years and they're doing something, I'm going to cry. I swear. I'm gonna bawl my eyes out.
When this show's over, we're gonna be like modern day Doctor Who fans for My Little Pony, because you're gonna have all those some My Little Pony fans are like, man, I like Gen 2 the most. I like Gen 1, blah blah blah. But we're gonna be the David Tennant fans where we're just like, no, our stuff was the best. But then they're like, but Christopher Eccleston, no, David Tennant. But the Bakers, no. David Tennant.
Yeah.
But Matt Smith. Okay, I don't think anyone ever really said Matt Smith, but he wasn't bad. My point is that some people are saying, oh, Gen 5 is gonna have big shoes to fill. But that's not true, because the show isn't gonna leave any shoes. Once the show's over, it's gonna ascend into a higher being or whatever, out of a Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it's just gonna yeet through the stratosphere, and nothing will ever come close to it in children's television again. Nothing Disney does, nothing DreamWorks does. It's done. We don't even have to watch cartoons anymore when this show's done.
So until next time, that's it from me, John,
and me, Snakeskin.
And we will talk to you guys later. Peace out, Dragon.
Adios.